All righty. Hey, what's going on, everybody? We are live. It is Wednesday night, 7 p.m., and this is the Screaming Room. I'm your host, DJ Remark, and with me is my co-host, Mr. Kanan Becker. What's going on, buddy?
What's up, guys? Not a whole lot. Doing well over here. Excited.
Yeah, how was your weekend? You watch anything cool?
Good. Yeah, I saw a number of movies. I saw The Watchers last week. I saw the new Bad Boys. I watched Lord of the Rings, the re-release of the first one.
Fellowship? Yeah, Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah. I was gonna do the other two, but I just, it's like 3+ hours for each one, and I just,
and that's not long enough.
No, I love these movies. They're great. I'm not a huge Lord of the Rings fan, but I mean, they're amazing. Like, they're so groundbreaking.
Oh my God.
I
can talk about Lord of the Rings all night, but we're not here to talk about Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. So what about you? How was your week?
Good. My week was good. I finally got to see In a Violent Nature. So I finally watched that. I watched Lowlifes.
Very good. Very cool. So those are both we're going to be talking about. Yeah.
We're going to be talking about those. And then I also watched Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. So we're going to talk about that a little bit, I think, and some other stuff. So mostly horror, but so the big stories that we're going to be talking about today, I got them in my notebook right here. We're talking about Werewolves starring Frank Grillo. There's rumors of, well, it's not rumors anymore. Dog Soldiers, the sequel, is in the works. So if you're a Dog Soldiers fan, you guys got a sequel coming out. David Howard Thornton is going to be in the new Steamboat Willie movie, so he can't seem to get away from bad movies. And you're going to have your thoughts on The Watchers. So that's all in this episode of The Screaming Room right after this. It wasn't until 2020 that I actually sat down and watched Texas Chainsaw.
All right, how do I turn this on?
All right, yeah.
What is Wednesday up, guys?
Wednesday night, for those of you on the East Coast, for those of you on the West Coast, it's Wednesday late afternoon, right?
Yeah, we're finally live again this week.
Finally live.
And we're streaming from the Ghost Pirate channel. So anybody over there watching on Ghost Pirate, what's up, guys?
What's going on? Hello, Ghost Pirate fans and followers. We are streaming here on the Ghost Pirate channel. We're streaming on the Bloodscribe Creations channel because we are not able to stream on the Screaming Room channel yet. But if you are not subscribed to the Screaming Room, please do so. I am going to be a good host and find the Screaming Room URL right now to post in the comments. So actually, it's going in the chat right now. If you're not
probably starting next week, we should be each week from the Screaming Room channel.
Right. So because we have to get all verified.
Yeah, we hadn't got it verified quite yet.
So once we get verified on YouTube, which should be technically tomorrow. So next week we'll be streaming live from the Screaming Room channel. So please go over there and join. We're streaming on Ghost Pirate Bloodscribe. We're actually streaming on Twitch right now. For those horror gamers out there, we do talk about horror gaming sometimes, and we're going to be talking to all of you. Hello to everybody in the chat so far. Hunter, John, Annabelle, what's going on, guys? Good to see you. And we'll be talking to you guys throughout the stream as well. So anyway, let's get right into it. So I finally watched In a Violent Nature. I know it's been a little bit. I don't have early access to movies like you because I'm not cool.
Do we want to talk news stories first though, and then get into the movie reviews?
Yeah, we could do that. I figured we could jump.
So let's start with box office. Let's start with box office.
Okay, let's start off with box office. So the as of Tuesday, June 11th, and forgive me if I turn my head, folks, and I got two monitors here I got to read off of. But we have the top 10 box office right now. Good news is couple of horror movies in there. So
Yeah, which
good
I'm
job
excited to see.
good job to everybody going out and supporting horror in the theaters. We need a lot more theater goers.
Yeah,
So
everybody
number
is
one,
talking about how bad box office is doing, but horror is still going strong.
horror
You know?
is recession proof. That's what I
Yep,
love about this genre.
Like every movie, I guarantee you, every single movie in this top 10 is losing money except for the horror movies. Guarantee
right.
it. Like if you
That's
look
right.
at like, if you read them off, well, okay, so maybe not Bad Boys. It'll probably do all right, but
Well, okay, so number one actually is Bad Boys Ride or Die, and you saw that. I haven't seen it yet.
yeah, I thought it was a lot of fun. It's like I'm not a huge fan of like Fast and Furious kind of action movies. Like they're just kind of silly and it's just not quite my thing. But this one's a little more grounded, not quite as silly. But the humor, especially in this, like the chemistry between these guys is great. So it's a fun movie. So like if you're not sure, but you enjoy the other ones, if you're a fan of the other Bad Boys, you'll like this one. Definitely.
Next up is the Garfield movie. I remember the last Garfield movie that came out with what's his name is the voice of Garfield. I'm committing a sin by forgetting his name off the top of my head.
I don't remember.
Ghostbusters.
What? It was one of the guys from Ghostbusters?
Yeah, it was the most popular one.
Oh yeah, it's Murray.
Chat, help me out. I'm an idiot.
Bill Murray.
Bill Murray, that's it.
Yeah.
I always do that. I
wasn't a big fan of the voice casting in this, but just in general, this Garfield movie wasn't great. It's like it's not a very interesting story, and to me the humor doesn't really land in it. It's just kind of
Yeah. Number 3 is If, that family movie with Ryan Reynolds.
It didn't work for me either.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, Ryan Reynolds is at his best when you just let him cook, let him do his thing.
When he's
and
Deadpool.
This is like a really toned down role for him. So
yeah,
it's just all right. I mean, I think for little kids that would be okay, but yeah, not great. Not great.
Number 4 is The Watchers, which you just saw, where you're going to give your thoughts on that. Do you want to wait?
Might as well just talk about it. It was okay. It's a little less horror than I was hoping for. It's like the first half of it starts out very horror. And I was like, all right, I'm on board. It's really atmospheric. And I was like, this is awesome. And then the second half, it starts to kind of make some choices and goes in a little bit different direction and becomes much more of a fantasy, almost magical folk tale kind of thing. Not to say that it's bad, but it just didn't quite have that impact I was hoping for. And then the CGI to me didn't work in it, and that kind of let me down quite a bit. But it's not bad. It was entertaining. It was frustrating though, because I posted my review over the weekend, and I swear, unless I say every movie is like it's amazing, you have to go see it, people think I don't like movie.
Yeah, they think you're just a hater. I know. I get that all the time.
No, like a lot of times a movie will be entertaining and all, and it's like it's fine, it's cool. It doesn't mean I hate it, but it's just not like have to run out to a theater to see. Like movies can be in that in between, and that's where The Watchers falls. It's not a bad movie, but it's also not like I think it's one that when it rolls onto Netflix or whatever, you'll be stoked.
It's made $8 million so far, so I don't know what the
that's what I was meaning by sure. Well, no matter what, I'm sure it's gonna break even at least. I'm guessing probably 20.
Yeah, 20, definitely. It made 13 million worldwide.
Yeah, it'll make some money, just like everything. I mean, even Tarot, which is a pile of absolute just garbage, even that movie's making a bunch of money.
That movie, I saw that trailer and I was like, my God, this is
rough,
the movie,
man. That one's in a race with Imaginary and Niceman.
Oh my God.
The worst
See, when you
see,
here's the thing, like when you say a movie's bad, then for me, I'm just gonna pass on it. Like I'm just not.
Dude,
even
it's
gonna watch
crazy because Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2 is better than all three of those, in my opinion. Like, it's on my worst list, but I
Oh
still
my
think it's better than
God.
those. Yeah. And I never would have thought that there'd be multiple Blumhouse movies that I thought were worse than a Winnie the Pooh 2 movie.
Jesus. So number 5, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and you're not an
And
Apes
you
fan,
saw
are
that?
you? I did see it.
I'm not a huge fan. I mean, I they're cool. I enjoyed them all. And this wasn't like, I don't think this was the best of the series or anything like that. But like the first two of the last, the Caesar trilogy or whatever, the first two were pretty sick. The third one kind of lost me a little bit, the War of the Apes or whatever. That one I was just, it was okay. And I thought this one was fine. Like, if you're a fan of Planet of the Apes stuff, I think it's cool. I just don't. Once again, I don't think it's a movie that's like a fucking game changer, but that doesn't mean it's not entertaining. What did you think? You said you saw it last week.
Yeah, I saw it last week. I thought I was all right. I was a fan of the first 3 of the the Caesar story, because I was really interested in Caesar's character. I thought they were really well done. This one was just okay to me. I had some problems with it. I mean, there's a few plot holes too that that present themselves that are kind of like, what's going on here. But it wasn't done by the same people who did the first 3. We had a new writer, new director.
No, it's Reeves who is doing the Batman. I mean,
right.
Matt Reeves, like right? Isn't it Matt Reeves that did?
Matt Reeves did the first 3. Yeah. And that's probably why they're good.
Yeah. Like, so that's big shoes to fill. And that's why I agree. I don't think this is as good as those.
Yeah.
But I still think it's decent. Like, it's not a bad movie, I don't think. Like, the villain in it, what's his name? I thought he was pretty awesome.
Caesar.
Yeah, I thought he was pretty cool. And then I like the idea, like the whole Roman attachment, like how he's, like that whole thing, like not to get too spoilery, but like I thought that was a pretty cool idea. So
Furiosa is coming in behind Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. That movie just got pulled from 800 theaters.
I loved, and we were just talking about this before we went on the air. Like, it breaks my heart that this movie is not getting more love. So, like, the same with Fall Guy, which is the next one up on the list. These are movies that are awesome, dude, and like people just didn't go out to support them like crazy, and it's frustrating because both of these movies, Fall Guy and Furiosa, like the special effects are great, the cast is great, it's a good story, great characters. I think there's 2 movies that are gonna kind of explode once they go streaming, though, because like people are waiting to go see movies. It's like, in order to go out and spend the money and see movies in theaters, people are just like, yeah, I'll just wait until it's streaming, unless it's something that I can't miss, and
yeah.
So, but it is a shame because all those movies are going to lose money like crazy.
Yeah. So I think the reason why Furiosa is not doing well and got pulled out of 800 theaters is because, one, I don't think anybody was asking for a Furiosa story after Fury Road. People don't like Mad Max movies without Mad Max. And so you're putting out a movie that, one, nobody asked for, 2, doesn't have Mad Max in it. So why are Mad Max fans going to go see this?
It's one of those weird things because, like, when people hear, oh, it doesn't have Mad Max in it, I agree with you. But if you were to watch the movie, you're like, I don't care if Mad Max is in this. Like, I didn't miss him at all. Like, you will not, I guarantee you will not miss Mad Max in this movie because there's other characters that are just as interesting, if not more. Like, especially compared to Fury Road. Like, Mad Max was only kind of in Fury Road. Like, he's just kind of there. He isn't like you know what I mean? He isn't really what made that movie special. And this one has got, like, this movie has better characters than Fury Road. Like, it really does. And yet it has all those same crazy visuals. It has a lot more depth to it too, and like much more of a story. It's like one of the first Mad Max movies that actually has a story.
Yeah.
Because the Mad Max movies, like, they're fun, but they're basically just, a car chase action, like, it's just kind of that's the deal. But this one actually has a story with characters, and there's a whole kind of a saga. And Furiosa is only kind of part of that. As weird as that is to say, she's just kind of a cog in the wheel for this power struggle between the different factions and stuff. And that's what makes this movie interesting.
Well, maybe I'll catch it on streaming and we can fight about it.
Yeah.
But
I think a lot of people are going to fall in love with it once they see it streaming.
Yeah.
Same with Fall Guy. Fall Guy is going to absolutely kill it. Like, once it hits Netflix, dude, people are going to love that movie.
James agrees with me. He says Mad Max needs Mad Max. It's like Indiana Jones without Harrison Ford.
But it's not. But it's not at all, because Mad Max, besides the first ones, he was a very central figure. I mean, it's Mad Max, right? But in Fury Road, if you think back on that movie, he's just kind of there. Like, he's not a huge, and it's not like it's Mel Gibson anymore either. And that movie,
can you imagine?
Because I was thinking the same thing, and then I looked at the numbers, and Fury Road made shitloads of money.
But think about if you brought Mel Gibson back for a Mad Max movie, that movie would explode.
Yeah.
I mean, it really would. I mean,
I could see. That's kind of what I could see if they make it. They probably won't now.
No, they won't, because Mel Gibson's canceled.
But if they made no, he's not. Dude, the guy's making movies, and he's been forgiven, man. Look what he's been doing. He's been getting busy.
He's been making his own movie.
Acting he's been acting, and he's made quite a few movies. Like, he made the one where he was Santa Claus, dude.
Hang on.
Like, he's been making quite a few movies. Now, I'm not going to say he's like back to where he was before he got canceled, but he could be in a Mad Max movie. I just don't think they'll make it now because of Furiosa losing so much money. But this kind of set up making a future movie where you bring back Charlize Theron as the adult Furiosa, who's now ruling, that, because at the end of Fury Road, she was running the place, and then you could bring in an older Mel Gibson.
I think if you make a Mad Max movie with Mel Gibson, it would double the revenue of Fury Road and Furiosa.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on a little bit.
I don't know about that. If you look at Furiosa, like I said, Furiosa Fury Road made a lot of fucking money. Like, I had no idea it made as much money as it did. And that's the problem. That's why you said nobody was asking for Furiosa, right? Well, they greenlit it back when Fury Road made a shitload of money. But then all these different reasons, it took a long time for it to get made. And then it got pushed back because of COVID. Then it got pushed back again because of the strike. So, all these things are why I feel like Furiosa released 2019 or 2020. And that era, it kills. So I think it's a complicated reason why it didn't do well. I think it's much more than just no Mad Max in it. So, but either way, yeah, let's move on. We got
the Fall Guys number 7. I still haven't seen this yet. I keep hearing good things.
It's very fun. It's a rom-com, but there's a lot of fun action and stunt work, and it's really a love letter to stuntmen. And I think that's what makes it a special movie.
Well, that's good.
It's just a fun movie.
What's his name is on a high right now. What's his name? Come on, you know it.
I don't.
Jake Gyllenhaal.
No, not Gyllenhaal. It's but yeah, he's on a high. Damn, what's his
Ryan
name?
Gosling. Good God, I called him Jake Gyllenhaal. Sorry, Ryan.
Yeah, but it also has Emily Blunt, who is also killing it. The two of them are huge right now. So
yeah,
I think it did fine if you think of it as a rom-com.
All these movies
have plenty of money. It's not a rom-com. Like The Fall Guy, if it only cost what it cost to make a rom-com, then it's golden. You know what I mean? Like it's over 100 million worldwide and all that. The problem is it isn't, the stunt work and the action and the special effects. Like they spent like 100 and almost 200 million, I think, to make Fall Guys. So that's why that movie's losing money, because it wasn't. It was an action movie. It's just it got labeled like a rom-com.
The Strangers Chapter 1 is the next one,
which I'm glad it is making money. As much as I'm like it's not good, I'm still wanting to see where it goes and see the next two parts. And anytime a horror movie makes money, I'm happy. But like, I'm not gonna lie and say it's a good movie. It's really not.
And then we have it looks like an anime is next. Haikyuu. Haikyuu the movie, decisive battle at the garbage dump. So for those anime fans,
these animated movies that I've like never heard of are killing it nowadays. Like it's funny. It's like I'll see the box office every week and I'm like, what is that? I never even heard of it. Like,
listen, I'm ready for the Lord of the Rings anime. Battle of Rohirrim. That's coming out. Give it to me.
Trailer dropped for that, right?
No,
stills.
Just for first images, some stills.
Because it's 2D animation, which I remember I saw somewhere someone talking about it, and I saw some pictures of it, and I'm like really surprised that they're going with a 2D animation, which made me excited, like my nostalgia. Because do you ever watch the Hobbit animated movies?
Oh, I've seen it.
And those were 2D and they were creepy, like really cool and creepy, much darker.
So there's
you gotta add that window.
Yeah, here.
You gotta add it. Yeah, there you go.
So, oh, hang on. I added the wrong thing. Hang on. Let me StreamYards is giving me some trouble. All right, here we go. Look at this. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. It actually, like I said, it reminds me quite a bit of The Hobbit. Like it looks like it's going to have a kind of that same creepy, dark edge to it. So,
yeah, I'm ready. Look at this. This looks great.
I mean, look at that. Yeah, that like I that's what I'm hoping for, because it's not horror, but I would love to see it go in a more darker, creepy direction and be more like bloody, more like a graphic novel. I think that would be that. Then I would be on board.
Yeah, I'm ready.
So, all right.
I'm ready.
Well, let's get to some of these.
Yeah, let's get to some horror news.
Yeah, we're lagging.
Let's yeah. All righty. So let me share my screen again. Where are we? There we are.
So which are we starting with?
We're starting with Werewolves. So Werewolves starring Frank Grillo.
I just heard about this yesterday.
Yeah. That's a cool looking screenshot. Look at that.
But listen to this. He's going to read it. What is the story real quick, but
yeah. So Stephen
C. Miller.
Yeah. So Stephen C. Miller from Silent Night, his werewolf movie Werewolves has been set for release by Briarcliff Entertainment and the Solution Entertainment Group by Deadline, starring Frank Grillo. Werewolves will be unleashed in theaters December 6th. So we got a nice winter movie. The film has been described as The Purge with werewolves. So that could probably make it good. In Werewolves, a supermoon event triggers a latent gene in every human on the planet, turning anyone who entered the moonlight into a werewolf for that one night. Chaos ensued and close to 1 billion people died. Now, a year later, the supermoon is back. Katrina Law, forgive me if I don't pronounce this, Ilfinesh Hedera, James Michael Cummings, and Lou Diamond Phillips are also starring in this movie. Matthew Kennedy, who wrote Inheritance, wrote the screenplay. It says, quote, "We are super excited to be releasing Werewolves later this year exclusively in theaters," said Miles Nestel, the co-CEO of The Solution. Our cast is incredible, from the amazing Frank Grillo to powerhouse performances from Katrina Law and Ilfinesh Hedera. The use of practical werewolves, hell yeah. Designed and built by Alec Gillis and Tom Woodruff Jr. from Alien and Predator. Take the genre back to its roots in a fresh and exciting way. We hope audiences will have as much fun experiencing the film in theaters as we had making it. Yeah.
Sign me up. Like, I'm so on board with this. Like, this sounds so fun.
I'm going to bring that up one more time so we can take a look at this. Actually, I'm going to take a look at this.
I'm just a huge werewolf fan, so I'm always interested if you do a werewolf movie, and especially one that's going to be in theaters, so it's got a good enough budget and cast and all that to be in theaters. Because so many werewolf movies we get, they just are like garbage straight to Tubi. Like, it's rare, but there's all these werewolf movies coming out, because there's also the guy that did Happy Death Day. I'm spacing on his name, unfortunately, but he has a werewolf movie coming out. So, and then we also have the Wolfman coming out early next year. So, and I think there's one other one I'm spacing on, but yeah, like, and then the next news story. So werewolves look like they might finally be having their day.
Yeah, and that's a good sequence into the next story, which is for those Dog Soldiers fans. We're gonna be getting a Dog Soldiers sequel. So let me bring this up. Get this all ready, because we don't have a producer. By the way, if you want to support the show, please subscribe to the Screaming Room. Yes. I'm going to post a link to the channel again in the chat, since we have some viewers finally. This new Screaming Room channel is where we're going to be streaming this show on Wednesday nights. We used to stream on Bloodscribe Creations. We're doing a simul stream right now on Bloodscribe Creations and Ghost Pirate Entertainment. We will be streaming next week on this new channel. So please subscribe, like the video, share the video, and you can see us talking about the horror stuff.
Every week, if we're not live, we'll still have an episode of this podcast available. If it might have to be pre-recorded, if one of us has got something going on, we can't do it live, but we'll always every Wednesday be there for you guys. So definitely hit that subscribe button, ding that little bell, because we got a lot of content coming.
Right. So on with the story. So we recently celebrated, this is from Bloody Disgusting, we recently celebrated the 22-year anniversary of Neil Marshall's Dog Soldiers, which is just an incredible movie. It's so good. Here on Bloody Disgusting, a fan favorite werewolf movie that's still without a sequel over 20 years later. What are the chances of Dog Soldiers 2 ever howling its way into our lives? Well, Inverse asked Neil Marshall that very question in a brand new interview piece that went live this month. The bad news, still no closer to happening, but Marshall isn't giving up yet, although you have some insight into this that maybe
Neil Marshall
doesn't.
Yeah, Neil Marshall is actually a pretty big fan of the channel of Ghost Pirate, and thank you, man. Welcome aboard. But yeah, so he reached out to me before and was telling me, like when I forget if I had talked about the movie in some level on the channel, and he had wrote a comment that, he loved producing it, and me and him got in a little conversation and whatnot. And he told me back then, and this was like, I don't know, at least a few months ago, but that they were working on getting, like, they had the finances in place and working on getting the screenplay. So this is definitely in development stages. It's not, as far as I know, it's not officially into pre-production yet, but it is definitely in the works. Like, they are putting, this is being put together, and the goal is to get like the same cast, same director. It's gonna have a lot of the same people that did the first one. So
that's gonna be awesome. So you heard it here first. The Screaming Room.
I'm very excited about it.
Broke the news. We broke the news. Dog Soldiers 2 is happening. So right here.
Well, they are trying to make it happen.
Right there.
I don't know if it's official yet.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah,
I think
it's gonna happen. It's just a matter of when. From what he was saying, it's gonna happen.
He says, we've been trying to get it off the ground for the past 6 years. Says, I've got a story hammered out, but I've not written the script yet because I want to know if we're actually making it or not first. Just write the script, dude. Just write it.
Well, he's got an idea. I mean, like, it just isn't like a perfectly worked out script, but it's also, what he was telling me is there's people that'll work with him to hammer out an official script. So it's like, he's got the basic story, but to have an official script, you generally have like some other people on board working on it, So thank you, Big Chris. I appreciate that.
Big Chris with the $5 says, I was one of the few who saw Abigail without knowing anything about it. Freaking awesome. What were they thinking?
Abigail was a lot of fun. very good movie. One of the best of the year so far, I think. At least one of the most fun.
He says, I can't live my life waiting to see if it does happen. If it happens, it happens. It's always going to be a double-edged sword, though. Says, quote, the fans want it, and I'd love to give it to them, but if I make a mess of it, they're not going to thank me. That's true. Marshall elaborates on that thought. The most important thing is making sure that it lives up to the first one. That's the hardest part. Yeah. I mean, because that's the problem with sequels. A lot of sequels, they never live up to the first.
Especially when it becomes a cult classic like this one.
Yeah.
You know, because there's a lot, especially with something like this, like the practical effects are a huge part, because you can get enough money to make a movie, but it has to be on that same level. You need to get like the same look and not just do some CGI and make it kind of close, or get some new cast. Like you want to, you need to try to do, like, at least do that first one justice. So that's,
well, and practical effects are always going to look better than CG. I think it's a well-known, well-accepted fact right now, especially in the horror community. We want to see practical effects. We don't want to see CGI. Get that shit out of here.
But it's flipped. For like a long time, it was more expensive to do CGI than it was practical effects. Now it's flipped. It's much more expensive to do practical effects, especially when it comes to things like blood splatter and, you know, like, yeah, to do a whole creature, you know, that may not be like super cheap, but for a lot of the little things, and that's a lot of the stuff that really holds back so many of these movies, is the little things like blood splatter is a good example. Like, it looks horrible. CGI blood splatter is horrible, you know, or CGI fire. And we see that a lot, fire and dirt. And like, it's just, yeah. So I'd rather them take their time. Never, you know, don't stop working on getting that movie made. Like, let's get a Dog Soldiers, but like, take your time, man. It's already been like 7 years or whatever, or 6 years, he said. So like, just keep working at it, but don't try to rush it. Don't just, and I think that's part of what's going on, because I know that he's got some investors and people, but you got to have like a full on studio or someone with a, you know, a lot of money in order to pull off something like that. So we'll see. I think it'll happen, because there is a really solid cult following for that movie. And it's recently it's been really, you know, put onto Hulu and, you know, some of these other streaming services. So it's getting more new, and because for the longest time, man, it's kind of like Pontypool. Unless you had a physical copy of it, you could not see it. It was like, you know, right. But now Pontypool and Dog Soldiers, like, they're on Shudder, they're on Hulu, they're on Tubi. So
hand sanitizer says CGI should be used to enhance practical effects, and it should be unnoticeable. Yes.
Yep. And it is, when it's done right. And like in a lot of movies we're seeing now, like the well done movies, you know, that is the case. It is a nice blend. Like, what is it? I'm trying to remember what it was I just saw where it felt blended really well.
I don't know. I haven't.
Is it Lovely, Dark and Deep? I just
couldn't tell you
about it. Anyway, Lovely, Dark and Deep. Like, that was one where the CGI and the practical are blended really well. It's like hard to tell where, you know, they're using some CGI, but it's blended so well you can't tell where, if you know what I mean. Like, you can't even tell where it's in there. So
yeah. All right. Moving on, because we're burning right through these. Again, this is from Bloody Disgusting. Terrifier star David Howard Thornton is playing the Steamboat Willie killer in Screamboat. This guy, like I said in the intro, just can't seem to get away from bad horror movies. So he's gonna.
It's all part of the same company, like the same company that did Terrifier is also who did The Mean One, which is the last movie he did back in December, I think it was. And now they're doing Steamboat Willie. So it's like the same company, and they're not the greatest. They're kind of a lower budget kind of deal. And talk about, CGI looking horrible. Like the mean one, the blood was CG, everything was CG all over the place. It was horrible. And that's why I don't have high hopes for this, because what makes David Howard Thornton a brilliant performer in Art the Clown is you get to see his personality. And that's what makes this guy so fun. Like, he's got his body performance is fantastic. He doesn't have to say anything to convey a whole lot. But then when they had him play the mean one, he's barely in it. Like, he's, they didn't use him much at all. And you got him in so much prosthetic garbage. It was like any actor could have played that kind of thing. It's a waste. So I kind of have the feeling that this is going to be the same deal. I mean, how is he going to be able to really emote when he's in this big ass fucking Mickey Mouse suit? So,
well,
it's
I guess
a shame because and I really like the guy. So I'm not trying to he's like a really nice guy. I've talked to him a number of times on Facebook and stuff. He's a really, really cool guy. He's really, really supportive and like great to all his fans. And he's doing an amazing job as Art the Clown. But he, you gotta let the dude cook. You gotta let him do his thing. And if you just cover him in these prosthetics and all this shit,
you mean you have to let actors act?
Yeah.
Oh my God. What a novel concept.
We'll see what happens.
All right. So the short film that introduced Mickey Mouse. Oh, this is from Bloody Disgusting again. Sorry. The short film that introduced Mickey Mouse to the world, 1928 Steamboat Willie, entered the public domain this year, and a horror movie adaptation is already on the way next year. It's not just one. There's like 2 of these coming out.
Yeah. So technically it's not a Mickey Mouse because Mickey Mouse is still owned by Disney. So that's where this gray area is. Like, you can only use Steamboat Willie, that original Mickey Mouse cartoon. You can only use that. And so that's why we're seeing these called Steamboat Willie, and even though everybody knows it's Mickey Mouse.
Right. It says from the production teams behind Terrifier 2 and The Mean One, Screamboat is coming to theaters in 2025 via Iconic Events Releasing. And Variety reports this morning that Terrifier, Terrifier 2, and Terrifier 3 star David Howard Thornton, who is Art the Clown, will be playing the film's twisted version of Steamboat Willie. Quote, "I am beyond excited to join this incredible cast and bring Steamboat Willie to life with a horror twist," Thornton said in a statement shared by Variety this morning. Screamboat is going to be a horrific and hilarious big screen thrill ride that fans won't want to miss. Screamboat cast will also include Allison Patel, Amy Schumacher, Jesse Posey, Jesse Cove, Rumi C. Jean-Louis, and as well as Jarlath Conroy and Charles Odin Powell. In Screamboat, quote, "A mischievous mouse stalks a group of New Yorkers on a late-night ferry ride, unleashing murderous mayhem on a relaxing commute. Can the ship..."
Thank you, Game Tips.
Game Tips with $5 says, "Ghost Pirate Entertainment, are you excited for Long Legs?"
Oh, extremely. I had the poster behind me up until just this week when I switched it with this new Maxine one. But yeah, that's my most anticipated movie of the year right now is Long Legs. Like, I think it's going to be phenomenal. So
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I've heard from some really reliable sources that it's incredible. So
yeah, I can't wait to talk about it. So it says, "Can the ship's motley crew of travelers find a way to stop a killer creature who has developed a taste for tourists?" Quote, "Iconic Events couldn't be more excited to get in on the ground floor of what's going to be a fun and terror-filled ride," said Stephen Mencken, president and co-founder of Iconic Events. "Allowing filmmakers like Stephen Lamorte the opportunity to showcase their films in movie theaters nationwide and bring horror fans together to experience this unique story is what Iconic is all about. We are more excited to partner together on Screamboat." So I'm going to pause there and I'm going to ask a question. He said, allowing filmmakers the opportunity to showcase their films in movie theaters nationwide and bring horror fans together, blah, blah, blah. Is that true? Or are they just jumping on this to make the money off of the Steamboat Willie?
Yep. And that's my concern, because that's what happened with the Mean One is they rushed it out because of the whole hype behind Terrifier 2. When it was exploding last year or year before last, right? It was exploding. And so they rushed the Mean One into production and into theaters. And it's like a low budget is one thing, but when you cut corners on time, like that's, the script is bad. Everything is bad because they're just trying to rush it into theaters. And I have a hard time with you. I have a hard time believing that this, because if it was just artists trying to make movies, right? Well, then why is it this public domain Steamboat Willie thing?
Yeah, because there's no reason to pick up on it except for a cash grab. If you're really, if Stephen Mencken, if you are really interested in allowing filmmakers the opportunity to showcase their films in movie theaters, how many original films are you putting out in theaters that are not covered in properties that are already recognized worldwide that people are going to go see just because of that reason? Like, how many original films are you putting out? I don't know anything about iconic events,
but
so I could be.
think...
Well, hang on. I could be talking out of my ass because I don't know anything about iconic events. So next week, after I look up some more iconic events movies, if I have a correction to make and a mea culpa is due, I will give it. But right now, I haven't heard of any original horror movies that are coming out from iconic events.
But I'm pulling up their site right now, and they have... Okay, so iconic events looks like it's not... Like, it doesn't look like it's like making movies. So I think that's what's confusing about the way this article is written. It looks like they just simply take these projects and give them a chance to be in theaters, because like if you go to their website, it's like Jesus, a deaf mission film. It's like this religious movie. There's the Conor McGregor fight. There's a number of other fights. So it's kind of like a Phantom Events is what it looks like.
Oh, Fathom Events?
Yeah, sorry. Well, Phantom is another one. Fathom, right?
Oh, Phantom's another one? Oh, sorry. I didn't know. My bad.
Maybe it's just Fathom. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. I think it's more of that. It's more of indie movies. They're just giving people a chance to be in theaters, like what happened with Terrifier, where Terrifier, like, they had nothing to do with making the movie. The movie was made. They just gave it a chance to be in theaters.
Yeah.
So I think that's more what it is. They might have put some money up towards it. I'm not sure.
So it says LaMorte's previously untitled horror parody of Steamboat Willie will begin production this spring, with the filmmaker and his producers promising buckets of blood and unhinged chaos as their miniature mouse attacks a group of ferry commuters against the unmistakable backdrop of New York City's iconic skyline. It says, quote, "I'm thrilled to partner with Iconic Events Releasing to bring Screamboat to theaters across the country. We're collaborating with incredible artists, both in front of the camera and behind the scenes, to bring a very unhinged horror comedy to life in the way it's meant to be seen on the big screen. We can't wait for audiences to meet our mischievous, murderous mouse." A number of spectacular artists have joined the project, eager to bring LaMorte's twisted version of Steamboat Willie to life. Christian Beckman's Quantum Creation Effects is creating the creature from designs by concept artist Christian Cordella. The film's murderous version of Steamboat Willie will be brought to horrific life by a mix of classic practical puppets and traditional prosthetic makeup. So that's good. That's good news. Mm-hmm. Produced by Amy Schumacher, Martine Meloul, sorry if I screwed up your name, and Stephen LaMorte, the team behind The Mean One, in collaboration with horror heavyweight Stephen Della Sala and Michael Levy. Terrifier 2, Terrifier 3, and Stream. The film promises a hilariously horrific twist on Disney's beloved mascot. Production is set to begin spring of 2024, so it should already be in production right now. So it
looks like they also are the people that are putting Stream, another horror movie, and it's in theaters, and it's directed by Michael Levy, and it stars Jeffrey Combs, Tony Todd, Daniel Harris, Dee Wallace, Felissa Rose, David Howard Thornton, Daniel Roebuck, like a bunch of who's who in like in the indie world of horror. So, or cult classic horror. So that's an original project that they're putting out. So I don't know. It looks like they kind of give these projects a platform to be able to get into theaters and maybe put some money up to make them, but it doesn't look like, so it looks like they're kind of like because I don't think they're quite a production company. You know what I mean?
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
It's the more
Anyway,
original
I'll give it a
films-
chance. I'll give it a chance. 100%.
the
I
more-
do get tired of these gimmicky things though. Like, I can't help it. It's just like my issue with Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. Like I just, it's frustrating sometimes.
Yeah, make original films.
Yeah.
Please stop trying to capitalize on already known properties. I mean, it's cheap, it's transparent. There's plenty of great indie filmmakers out there that are telling original stories and making original movies. Put those in theaters.
But if you are gonna do it, have something to say. Like do something original with it. Like, I'm not saying you can't do a Steamboat Willie thing, but make it interesting, make it good. Don't just slap it into theaters because of the gimmick. Like that's more my issue with it. It's not so much that it's being made. It's just they just slap them out. Like I said, with the mean one where, it's a Grinch Christmas time horror movie, which, if they had taken their time and made it right, it could have been creepy. It could have been fun, whatever. But instead of they just like rushed it into theaters and it's half baked and it's just a mess.
Right.
So,
all right. Well, we're about to the end of the show. We got about 15 minutes left. So thanks everybody that's been watching.
We didn't talk about the movies that we did the homework to watch. So.
I know. Well, that's what we're going to get into. We're going to talk about that now. But
right.
thanks everybody that's been watching so far. We're not getting out of here yet. We want to talk about In a Violent Nature that we both saw, that I finally saw. And let me get this banner going here.
So we'll give our basic thoughts up front. So, but if you haven't seen it, we will get into spoilers. So we'll warn you ahead of time. But definitely keep your ears open, because anybody that doesn't want anything spoiled, we definitely don't want to spoil it for you.
Right. So do you want to go first or do you want me to?
You can go ahead. I actually resaw it as well this week. So you saw it the other day, right?
Yeah. I saw it. Sometime. Oh, well, was it Monday?
So I've seen it.
I don't know.
So I've seen it twice now.
So, here's the thing. I think it's an interesting take on the slasher genre. You're following the slasher around. You're following the killer around. The story is sort of secondary to just how these killers, these Jason Voorhees types, walk around, right? Because he's very much a Jason Voorhees type.
It's basically a Friday the 13th without the name.
Right.
So like anybody that isn't familiar with what we're talking about, it's a new horror movie that's in theaters currently at the time of recording this. And he's basically Jason Voorhees sort of figure, except for the whole movie is from his perspective for the most part. I'd say like 90% of it is from his perspective.
Right. And my one, well, I have a few gripes about the movie. One of those gripes is that they do like about 10% of the movie not from his perspective, and it's very jarring for me, because it's like, now I don't know what I'm watching. Like I thought this is like, if you're gonna do this, if you're gonna have this technique, commit, stick to it, don't break from it.
And it's pointless. It seems kind of pointless when they do break away from him too. You're just like what? How is that pushing the story, or like, you know what I mean? Like, did you need for that one shot or for that one sequence to not be with the killer? Like,
right.
I don't know.
No, you didn't. And so that's one of my gripes. The other one is the pacing. Unfortunately, when you watch a movie like this, like you're watching this guy just walk around.
Yep.
And like, it makes me wonder if this should have just been a short film, because a lot of slashers back in the 80s did this, where they just filled time walking through woods or whatever, trying to show the killer's perspective. And it makes the movie kind of drag. So if you're patient, then, you can forgive it. The fact that there's very little story because you're not actually following the story, you get who this guy is, right? You understand what he's after. It's very obvious, but we don't need to know what the story and the characters are like of the victims, right? You know,
Well, there's
we don't
no
need-
characters. I mean,
Right.
we know nothing about the characters. And I think that's the biggest problem, because even as thin as the Friday the 13th movies are, you still get a little bit of the characters. Like, you still kind of know, like, so-and-so and so-and-so, like, yeah, they're thin, but you at least have a sort of idea of you get nothing in this. Like, besides the killer and his story, you know nothing about his victims, like, at all.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I've heard that this was meant to be, like, I heard a different take on this that I don't know how I feel about it. But basically, the idea is that this is almost meta. This is almost satirical in a way. It's supposed to be showing you what it would be like to follow this killer. So almost like, remember Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon?
Yes.
So something like that, where it's kind of trying to show you what a day in the life of a killer would be. And the fact that it's super slow and boring is intentional. And I get that. And if that is what the filmmaker's going for, I get it. It doesn't change that it's still super slow. And it's a beautiful movie. I mean, the cinematography, the way it's shot is gorgeous. The landscape is just amazing. But it almost feels like a nature documentary or something, like, with just this killer dropped into it, just plop. And, like, really the only reasons to see the movie, to be honest, is the killer looks badass and the kills are incredible. I mean, it's crazy to say this, but it's like some of the best kills we've seen in a horror movie in a very long time. Like, they're really good.
Yeah, I remember the one you were talking about, and I I thought it was pretty good. There is one that I thought was sort of, I thought it was mean. Like, I thought it was mean spirited and, and unnecessary. Yeah.
The Saw one. Yeah. It almost seemed out of character too.
Yes. Well, there's two instances where it seemed out of character. So if we want to get into spoilers, we can do that now. But I'll give my final.
So we'll get into spoilers, but you can't exactly spoil this movie. So just to be honest, like, if you're someone that hasn't seen it and isn't sure if you want to leave listening to us right now because we're going to spoil it, other than us basically telling you what happens in the kills, it doesn't even really matter, because you have to see this. Like, there isn't any story. Like, basically what I'm saying is there isn't any story kind of things that can really be spoiled about this movie. Like, the only spoilers really there is just saying what happens in the kills, because there is no story really to spoil.
Right. So I guess my final thoughts before we get into spoilers about this movie is that I think this is a good enough movie to watch. I know that there's going to be a lot of slasher fans that will either love or hate this movie.
Yeah.
For those reasons. And I think
I don't know if it's quite that, because, like, I'm someone that I think a lot of people fall in the middle on it.
You think so?
Yeah. Cause like a lot of things nowadays, it's like everybody's either on one side or the other. But with this one, I think a lot more people kind of fall in the middle, because if you're a diehard slasher, there is stuff you're going to love in it, but I think you're still going to be like, yeah, but it was pretty fucking slow. Like,
Yeah.
there's literally like minutes where there's nothing else happening, but you're just watching him walk through this big field, and it's in the middle of the daytime. So there is zero suspense built in this movie, like none,
Right.
like none at all, because you're also following the killer. So you know he's about to kill. It's not scary at all. Like, it's just, it's not intimidating. It's just, so, but it's interesting. It's like one of those movies I do think it's worth watching, because it's an interesting take. And I think that they're onto something.
It's a pretty original idea
from this. Yeah,
it's a pretty original idea.
Things you could take. I think there's things you could take from this and make a really good slasher.
Right.
So
yeah, and that's why I would recommend it, is because it's an original idea. The execution was probably I don't know. I wouldn't say it's as good as it's going to get for something like that, but like it probably
No.
is. But the ending, I mean, that was also like one of the longest parts
yeah,
of the movie.
I am still, I've heard so many different explanations of the ending of this movie, and it feels completely pointless to me.
Yeah,
Like, it feels like there's 15 minutes at the end of this that is for no reason, does nothing.
it
All
does
right, so
nothing.
let's just get into spoilers, because
All right,
the ending is something I got to talk about.
all right. I got to switch out the coals to my hookah. So you go ahead and go first while I do that.
All right, spoiler warning. If you don't want to hear any of the details about In a Violent Nature, then you might want to turn off at least for the next like 10 minutes or so. Big spoiler warning. Okay, so the kills in this are very gruesome, very brutal, very bloody. I have heard a few people talk about how they looked a little fake to them, and I didn't really think so on my first watch, but then when I rewatched it, I did feel like they were like, you could see a little bit, but I mean, it's a lower budget practical effects. Like, everything is practically done in this movie, and it is a lower budget. So of course the kills aren't flawless, but I thought they're pretty damn good. Like, they really, and they're gruesome. So to me, the best kill, I've heard a few people say a couple, like, it's strange. I thought everybody was going to agree that there's one kill in this that was just like this iconic kill, but then I've heard other people talk about other kills that affected them more. But the kill, to me, the reason to see this, if for nothing else, is the yoga kill. Like,
Yes.
so it is a spoiler, but it is a spoiler. So just one more warning. But basically, this killer takes these hooks and he hooks her. What is he? He starts with hooks her stomach, right? Pulls the hook through her stomach. So now you got to, no. He hooks her in the head. And no, he does start with the stomach. So he pulls the hook through the stomach. Then he takes the other side of this hook. So it's like this double-sided chain with hooks on both sides. One is hooked through her stomach, and he's holding on to that. Then he takes the other side and hooks it into her head and pulls it to the point where literally her head goes through her stomach and comes out the other side. So it's literally like he tied her in a human knot. And it sounds comical, but it's not. It's actually fucking brutal looking. Like, it looks real, and it's very gruesome, very brutal.
I mean,
it doesn't feel comical to me at all. Like,
it's pretty brutal, but I did laugh. Like, I was laughing in the theater. Like,
me too. Well, yes, but not at it like it's funny, but like
this is
a weird thing. Yeah, it's a weird thing as a horror fan, because I laugh at the brutal kills too, but it's almost out of glee. It's like, fuck yeah, they went there. That's fucking gnarly. But it's not like it's meant, because it's not meant to be humorous. So I guess this is basically, I can explain it,
Right.
What did you think the most brutal kill was? Did you think it was that one?
Yeah, that was definitely the most brutal kill. The others were actually rather tame, which is fine. But then the other one,
no way. No, the over the head shot was super original, and I thought it was pretty fucking cool, where he drops the shit on the head, and the head just explodes like a fucking.
Yeah, no, that looked great.
It's like an over the head drone shot.
Yeah.
And like, I wouldn't say it's tame. It's like super gory. It's just, I've never seen anybody do an over the head kill like that. So I thought that was pretty wicked.
Yeah, I thought it was good. When I mean by tame, I mean, like, I guess I don't mean tame. I guess I mean like easy. So like,
they're all gory. Like, they don't hold anything back. Like, except for there are a couple kills that are off screen, which I thought was kind of odd. Like, especially that first kill.
Right.
All I can think of is that maybe it was like to try to build some anticipation. You're going to see this kill, and then all of a sudden, because it is a cool shot where he's reaching for the guy's head
to
kill him, and then all of a sudden the hand is now reaching for the necklace. So it's a pretty cool like fade in shot or whatever you want to call it.
Obviously, that kill wasn't cut for time,
No,
but sorry.
this movie. Okay, so the ending, I don't understand. I don't know. Like, I feel like I missed something. And even though I've heard lots of explanations of what the ending was, but I just don't understand. I just don't get it. Like, what happens is basically this girl, she escapes the killer. And it's very much like a reminiscent of a Texas Chainsaw Massacre or whatever. She gets this little lady or older lady pulls over. She gets in the car with this older lady, and she's all fucked up. Like, and the older lady's like, ah. And so they're driving away, and she's like, just go, let's go. Let's get us out of here. And so they're driving for a while. And this got to be 10 minutes, right? 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
The ending. And
At
it's
least.
literally just the two of them in this conversation. And I was convinced, and I think everybody was, that it's building up this one final kill or at least one final scare. Because I mean, it goes on for at least 10 minutes of this conversation in this truck. And then they pull over to the side of the road. Because the older lady's like, what's her leg wound, right?
Gotta adjust your leg wound. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I gotta like wrap it, you're bleeding out. And the girl's freaking out because they're still in the woods.
Right.
And so I'm thinking, and then the camera even goes to the woods and it's scanning the woods and it's setting it up like for sure he's going to come out of the woods, or at the very least, you're going to see him back there in the woods or something, like it's setting up the sequel or something, any fucking thing. Nope. Nothing happens at all. The
Goose egg.
Yeah. And I don't get it.
I knew they weren't going to do it. I knew what they were trying to do, and I knew nothing was going to happen.
What were they trying to do?
They were trying to set up a suspense for that. They were trying to get people to like, to
suspense for what? They didn't do anything.
Exactly. They were like, look, we're going to do that. We're going to shoot this like this to build up all this suspense. But then just, there's never a payoff. And the reason why is because like, this is the one time I'm going to complain, I guess, about a movie following its own rules. We've seen this guy slowly walk everywhere he's going, right? He has one speed. They're driving for 15 minutes. There's no way this dude is catching up to them just by
walking.
Agree. So
I agree.
So the only payoff was going to be he shows up and murks the old lady. But he can't because he's so slow. But also he got the necklace back. So the rules, like the curse has been lifted, or not lifted, but like he's been laid back to rest because he got the necklace back.
And I guess the story that the older lady is telling in the car is about him. Yeah, like he is the guy, her brother, and the bear. Like that whole story, that's him.
Oh, so there was no bear, it was him?
No, he is the brother that faced off against the bear.
Well, no, because the deputy in the beginning of the movie told the story of him. He was some kid that got kicked out of a fire tower and died. So that couldn't have been him.
No, you're right. So then maybe he is the bear. Okay, so he is the bear.
So maybe he is the
brother
bear.
Survived him.
Right. But then why would the
I
brother?
Don't know.
Why would the brother say it was a bear? Why would
it just all feels so pointless, dude? Like it just.
I know.
But I mean, like once again, don't get me wrong. There is a reason to see this, especially if you're just a casual horror fan. This is not your jam. You're gonna get bored. But if you're a big horror fan, especially of the history of horror and the rules of horror and all those things that go into it, this is an experimental movie. It falls into that same category as the Outwaters did last year and Skinamarink, where they're not for everyone. There are definitely things that are not great about them. They are kind of boring on some level, but they're experimenting with the genre and trying new things. And a lot of those things, it's kind of like an invention. You come up with, there's going to be some young horror fan right now that sees those and gets an idea and then in 10 years or 20 years or whatever, makes his own movie and takes some of those things and perfects those and comes up, and that's how the genre continues to push forward. So
Yeah.
on that level, it's exciting, but not not a can't
Not
miss
awesome.
movie.
Right. So,
all right. So do we want to quickly go over the movie that I do think is awesome?
Okay. How quickly do you think we can go? Because we're already over.
Not that quickly, but it doesn't matter, because if we don't talk about it this week, then who knows what we're going to be talking about next week. Let's just.
Okay. All right.
Do you have somewhere you got to be?
No, not yet. But
yeah. So let's just talk about it. It won't probably take us that long. But
okay,
even if we go over a little, like, so be it.
Okay. By the way, before we get into this,
because also I just want to talk about this movie. I've been waiting.
Yeah, let's do one final one final what you call it, spam of the Screaming Room channel. We have a new Screaming Room channel that we are going to be streaming on after this week. We are currently simul streaming from Bloodscribe Creations and Ghost Pirate Entertainment. But if you like this show, please subscribe and hit that notification bell on the Screaming Room's YouTube channel. I just posted a link in all of the chats that we are currently streaming at. Please go there and subscribe. And thank you to everybody in the chat so far. I know we haven't been able to interact with you too much. Thank you for the super
we're
chat.
Up to 21 subscribers.
All right. So let's get to 25 and then 50. but we're on our way. But thanks to everybody in the chat. We see it. Please comment on the re-upload after we're done streaming. So we'll be able to talk to you in the comments. We love talking to you guys. I'm going to try to bring up chats more often, but you guys seem to be having a good time in there. And we do see you.
And also kills the flow a little bit if we read off the chat. And so
right. We will definitely
read, ignoring you guys, but we have to try to keep a good balance, you know.
We will definitely read super chats. So if you send in a super chat, which you won't be able to on the Screaming Room, but we will have until we get monetized, we can't do super chats, but we will have like a PayPal address and a buy me coffee address and stuff like that you can donate to the channel, and we will be able to read those. We'll be able to see that. So help us grow. Thank you for watching. So let's get into this. Lowlifes. This is a Tubi original, right? Is it an original or no? Okay.
Yes, it's a Tubi original, and it's the first Tubi original that I actually think is worthy of watching. Like, a lot of the other ones are just not good. They're not well polished, not well put together. But this actually has decent talent, which I didn't realize until after seeing it. But it's Gutakonda. What's the first name? Tesh Gutakonda, who did the movie Influencer over on Shudder, which was like one of my favorite movies from 2022, like that movie, or 2023. A fantastic movie that came out of nowhere, and here she is doing another movie, and like I had no idea going into this. But warning up front. So yes, you can go watch this on Tubi right now. But warning up front, you got to be patient. And I'm curious what DJ, his thoughts on this are going to be, but the first 10, 20 minutes of this movie, I thought this is an absolute pile of trash. Like the acting, the tropes, like everything, it feels so on the nose and just so like basic and just like these cookie cutter hillbillies, like saying all the lines, like basically with a piece of wheat, you know, like in the side of their mouth. I mean, it's like really, really heavy laying it on. And I was like, this is awful. But I had a bunch of you guys telling me like, you got to watch this movie. You got to watch this movie. And so I tried literally twice. I started this movie, and 2 times I couldn't make it past the first like 10, 15 minutes. And I just moved on. And finally, this last week, I finally was like, all right, too many of you guys have been talking about it. There's got to be something to this that I'm missing. And holy shit. Yes. Like this movie, you still may not love it. And I definitely understand anybody that doesn't like it or doesn't love it, whatever. But this movie takes a crazy twist and becomes a very different movie than I was expecting. And I think for just that alone, it's entertaining.
Okay.
Sir.
So I would agree for most of that. I thought the first twist, which I guess we won't spoil it. Go watch this on Tubi. It's free.
Yeah.
The first twist I thought was good. And then I was expecting a second twist and I didn't get it. And
no, there was. There is, but not in a same way. And that's actually, to me, what made this movie the most interesting. There is it's not a traditional twist, but this movie, like, what's the term? Where it like cuffs an ace, like I forget the term, because it a couple times leads you into thinking the movie's gonna go this way and it's gonna follow your patterns of way horror movies. So like so-and-so is going to do this, so-and-so is going to survive, so-and-so is going to be this way. It leads you into thinking these things throughout the movie. And it's like almost every time it just goes, nope, fuck you, and raises a big middle finger and does something different.
But I didn't. Okay. Can we put up a spoiler warning and talk about it?
Well, we'll give your basic overview.
Okay, so all right, fine. So my basic overview was I was expecting a second twist. The one that I think you're talking about, I didn't consider that a real twist. I think I saw that coming. But the movie, like once they get to the house, the movie really kind of starts to drag for me. Like there's a lot of talking and a lot of dialogue. Like there's one specific scene between the two girls that I'm just like, is this scene over yet? Like what? Yeah. Like, come on, let's get going. And then that happens like a few times, and I'm just like,
yes, but I still will kind of defend that scene, and I'll explain why. Because I feel like that scene is what made it like set up what I consider to be the final twist, so to speak, the final shift of the movie.
So I know what second twist you're talking about now. I kind of saw that coming, so I guess I didn't consider it a twist. I thought the acting was really well done.
It's not really a twist, but a shift.
Right.
There's really only one twist in the movie, but I feel like it shifts some pretty dramatic, like shift is not the right word. What's the word? It's unexpected. It takes unexpected, like it does some, it at least tries to take some unexpected turns.
But it could have been better. Like the second twist could have been way better. And even if you're expecting it to come, I was like, oh man, if they're gonna do this, like if they're gonna, we got somebody in the chat said no spoilers, so no spoilers, I guess. But like I really wanted that second twist to happen, and then it just never did. And I'm just like, come on. But I think
the acting is part, like, because I'm not gonna say this is like a home run. It's not gonna be on my best of the year, right? Even though I think Tetsuya Kanda as a director is phenomenal. And I think that as a director and filmmaker, like I'm excited to see the future, but I feel like the acting held this movie back, because even though there is this, like the acting is meant to be over the top, like it's intentionally everybody's playing it up. Everybody's like, there's a reason why they're playing these stereotypes so much, and everything is turned up to 11. I still think the acting, there was, when they needed to be more sincere, when they needed to like make it to where you cared about the characters more, they just couldn't do that. Like I feel like the actors weren't quite on that level. Whereas like in her other movie, Influencer, she did have that level of acting, and the actors really go for it and really are able to get you into the story. You know what I mean? But this one, they weren't quite there. Like the only one that was close was the daughter, was the road tripping family.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
She was close. She was close, but
I agree. Yeah. I mean, I thought the dad was the best actor. I thought he did the best job as far as like acting goes. Yeah, I mean,
I just didn't feel like it was believable. I felt like
really
it was I felt like he was very like playing it up too much. Same with the brother. Like they were both playing it up so much. Like, but we're gonna spoil it. Like it's impossible to really explain without spoiling. So,
all right. Well, maybe we'll talk about spoilers
we'll just leave it at
later.
that. Yeah, maybe we'll
I
talk about it next week.
I guess I would say for a Tubi original, yeah, it was better. I guess I would recommend it, but I was let down by the fact of the second twist not being there for me. And
you have to like, it's a B movie and it's literally just about being entertained. You know, it's not a movie like if you dissect it or, you know, break it down or overthink it, it's, you know, it's not going to stand up for all of that. It's not like a movie that I'm going to highly recommend. It's more of a movie that I think is fun. And it does do some things that, especially for a Tubi original, surprised me, because generally Tubi originals are very cookie cutter, play by the numbers. It's like all the same shit you've seen a million times. And this at least had the balls to try some things and do some things different. And like I said, I really do think the filmmaker behind this, with the right resources, will make a movie that's going to blow people's doors off. You know,
well,
because
we'll see.
We have yet to see her really have a like, because Influencer as well was literally, there's like three, I think it's a cast of 3, was shot over basically during the whole COVID times. Like, you know, she's got very little budget and not a lot to work with on both of her movies so far, and they were both good on some level. So
yeah.
All
right. Well, that's going to do it
but if you haven't seen either, definitely go see Influencer. Go watch Influencer on Shudder. Like if you want to pick one of those movies to go see, Influencer is fantastic and beautiful, man. Just a gorgeous, like the way it's shot, like it's all like in Indonesia, I think it is, like on these beaches and stuff, and it just looks incredible.
All righty. Well, you heard it here, folks. So thanks for joining us. We are going to be streaming every Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. And
on the Screaming Room YouTube channel.
On the Screaming Room YouTube channel. We are simulcasting from Ghost Pirate Entertainment and Bloodscribe Creations right now, just to get you all over to the Screaming Room channel. Please go subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you can see when we go live. We're going to be talking like this every Wednesday. And thanks again to the chat for coming in. Love seeing you guys. We'll try to get to more chats when we can. I've been putting the ones up on the screen. On the screen. Even the ones where people call me out for picking my nose when the camera is off. So thank you for putting me on blast there. And
he's not picking his nose. He's smoking.
Well, I'm smoking on camera too, but sometimes, people don't want to see me stand up and move the coals around. So, but anyway, thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you guys next week. Okay, bye.
Guys.